So just to update you a bit on the access, because I know in the past sometimes Alphonse doesn't come as regular as on top of your head because it's a bit complicated, or you think because of the access regarding the flight. But just to advise you, we have several flights throughout the season, so depending on the season. So because remember, we also cover Astor and Cosmolido, so these flights will automatically have to stop on Alphonse and then go ahead. So looking at the flight, if you look from January to February, we have up to five times per week. March to April, that move back to 4, and then May to September, it's 1 on Saturday. October, we have 2 per week, and November 4. And we also have private charters. So if we have big groups of family traveling, we can also organize that. So always contact us whenever you have a request. Sometimes even May, like now, we're doing the farm trip. We have a week where before the season closed, we still have more flight available. So always contact us and advise us, and we can work with you on that. And we're very quick in getting back to you and make sure that your client get the maximum information. So as I said, that's for the access. So it's very important. As you know, Alphonse is open all year round, while Astor and Cosmolido is November up to April.
This is the screen there, I think. I don't know.
Oh, it's still there.
Oh, it's there.
It's
Okay.
a country connection thing.
All right, as long as you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on Alphonse Island, I just want to update you a bit, so you'll have a bit of a.
Sorry, it's just the TV, not the.
Okay, so on Alphonse, you know the beach bungalow that we have, the 22 beach bungalow. So I've got some very exciting news. We've done some changes, and we've changed the roof already. So if you look at, that's what it used to look like. I'm just trying to get the connection here.
It's, you know, the connection's fine.
Okay.
It's just the TV. It's just
Okay.
people.
So if you look at here.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh yeah, perfect. So as you can see, this is what the bungalow look like, and this is what it is. And exclusively, you're the first person to actually to see it. These are the new roof. So look, as you can see, it's really blended into the environment. So it really changed the look of it. And this will be the new look of the beach bungalow. So we are currently updating them. So it's not going to be all bungalow will be ready in time, but we're doing it by phase. So that will take some time. But this is very important to show you that the quality of accommodation just keep on getting better and better. So don't be shy if you're thinking people have been to Maldives before. This is the type of accommodation they used to. We are rustic, but you can see it's very nice, very comfortable. So don't be shy to actually promote it as such.
My understanding is we're still on schedule for all of the upgrades to the bungalow to be finished by the end of this year when our fully inclusive rate kicks in. We'd obviously give you a more specific update as things go, but that's what we're shooting for at this stage.
Yeah.
So it's not just the thatching of the roof, it's also changes to the bathroom, changing the floor tile, and a few things in terms of the softs and the rest as well, just to kind of freshen them up and have them blend a little bit more harmoniously as the beach villas and beach retreats do at the moment. Yeah.
And just a refresh of the actual beach villa. So you can see, again, don't be shy to promote it. It's a very, very good quality accommodation. So it is when you see the type of accommodation, the activity that we have and everything that we offer, it's very, very easy to actually, looking at the price entry, including our flight going into Alphonse, you can easily do a shift of a booking. And the client will absolutely love it because there's something else that they can sell. Everybody is selling the same, all the same. You see the same, or especially now the Maldives, there's so many hotels, it's keep on coming the same and the same. So that would be something quite interesting to propose.
They're really big as well.
Yes.
They're really spacious.
They're very spacious. They're 126 meters square for the one bedroom.
And there's a lot of space between the villas
Yes.
as well. So you go onto the beach and it's a massive beach and there's nobody else there.
Yes. And this is the picture.
So I'm really laughing because the first time I visited Christmas a year ago, I actually had a guest come up to me and ask if she was allowed on the beach. And I said, I was like, what do you mean? Of course you're allowed on the beach. She goes, but nobody's on it. So she thought because it was empty, there must be a reason why. That she wasn't allowed to go down there, or there were, I don't know, but it's not that common that you come across footprints on the beach in the morning.
And then we have our 4-bedroom retreat villa. So as you can see, it's very secluded, amazing. There's 4 double bedrooms. So for family and especially extended family traveling together or group of friends, this is absolutely perfect. You will have your own buggy when you're in there. And one of the biggest, I think one of the good selling point that we are making now. So we can actually, if you have family, they only want a 2-bedroom, and we don't have a 2-bedroom villa. So now we created a special rate for it. So we will actually rent it as a 2-bedroom. We close the other 2 rooms and then they have the 2 rooms. So this is a very, very, I would say now you can consider it more for family. Family with teenager looking for that mix of holiday and adventure. It's absolutely brilliant for family with teenager.
And also, sorry to interject. Sally from 360 stayed in that room with her family.
Yes.
Was it last year, I think, or the year before?
The year before.
Year before. So I know the 360 inquiries are coming in, but a good thing to remind the 360 agents, if they're looking for a family stay, say, oh yeah, you know that Sally stayed here with her. She absolutely had an amazing time. This would be a really good option for a family booking. And it's down at the end of the beach, isn't it?
Yes.
Completely private on its own. It's quite a large island, Alphonse, so it's very private. On its own little space.
And as I say, it's we do a lot of activity, but we are also kind of a resort, because before it was always Alphonse's large activity, but then if I don't want to do that much activity, I can't do anything else. But it is a resort, and you can see the amount of improvement we've done in the last. It looked completely different from when Thomas went there, and that was not a long time ago. So we've redone the swimming pool area. You've got a really nice beach and all the settings. So it's completely different. So you have the best of both worlds, which is quite good. And we've done an amazing job. This is a new bar area. Again, this is where all the activity take place in the evening. And one also very important, there are people traveling solo holidays, people going on their own, and this is the perfect place, especially when they go to remote island, when they see only honeymooners, 2 tables, and they kind of feel out of place. But the environment we create around the bar, the sharing, and everybody else meeting in the evening. If people are traveling on their own, this is actually quite good. We do have quite a few people that travel on their own, so it could be a good option too. And of course, the garden, we've done a massive upgrade. So again, it didn't look like that when you came in. So it's double in size of what it was. So the garden has becoming even bigger what it was before. So, and guests actually spent hours there. You won't believe it, because we have Luke, and he's passionate, and you can spend hours with him explaining how he managed to get all of these produced. So we're producing more and more now ever before. And remember, this vegetable and fruit is also not only for the guests, the staff, and also to the other outer island that we actually manage. So it's very good on sustainability also on that aspect.
Also, now I met your team at Pure this year, and we were actually shortlisted for the Conservation Award for the farm, because now we're producing around about 80% of the lodge's needs when it comes to fruits and vegetables every month. And given how much Mahé is dependent on imports from completely other parts of the world, whether it's like oranges from Brazil or asparagus from France or whatever, it's been really phenomenal to have this resource. And we're also doing cooking lessons and things on the farm as well. So if you have guests that really want to go and pull the veggies out of the ground themselves, prepare them on the farm with the chef, our Alphonse Tribes program, the kids go out there and spend a lot of time with Luke as well. And his plan in the future is also that we can do honey tasting for the guests, because we have the different hives. And he said that even just depending on the day of the week, the taste of the honey can be different, whether it rained the day before, depending on, you know, what flowers the bees are pollinating and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's become more and more of an island-based experience that the guests are enjoying getting involved with.
And now regarding the meal plan, so we are on full board until the 5th of December this year. And after that, we will move to all-inclusive. So while the all-inclusive, it's secluded and we're getting more and more clients asking for all-inclusive. But what we're going to do with the all-inclusive is not only we're going to include the drinks. So we're going to have spirit. There will be a supplement for premium spirit, but it's still, you're still going to have champagne, still going to have beer and all the other branded. Yeah, as long as you have savory, you're okay.
That's all you need, really.
That's all you need, really. And then you have champagne. So you have the drinks included, but what we're going to do, we're also going to include some activity in it. So every time you go out for snorkeling instead, you don't have to think, can I go? And we want everybody to actually experience Alphonse. And I think that is a very, very, very key selling point. When you see what you're paying for the all-inclusive and what you're getting, it's excellent value.
So the only activities that won't be included in the fully inclusive rate would be scuba diving, fly fishing, blue water fishing, and then any courses. So if you do like an open water or a free diving course or whatever, then that would be additional. But any motorized activities any scheduled motorized activities are included, as well as the existing non-motorized activities that guests already get as part of their rate at the moment.
So imagine you will have your, you know, St. François walk included. So this is quite a big thing. And the value of that is phenomenal when you know anywhere, even if you go to Maldives to do a small snorkeling trip, how much that will cost you extra. So that is absolutely really, really good value. So yeah, so these are, as I said, the all-inclusive. We've discussed that. Now, what I did a little summary that you can actually find it easy to promote currently now. So the key selling point that I already mentioned is the 2-bedroom retreat. So now you have a special rate. You can sell that up from January till the 6th of December, which is quite a very long period on that. We have, some people don't actually look at it, but we have an excellent teenager rate stay. So whenever they have a second room, the second room is actually at a very low rate, because a lot of time they would pay an adult rate and an adult additional bedroom. So please consider us for family. It come up to be quite really, really attractive for family with teenager. Also under 17, they don't have to pay for the conservation fee. So that is another big point. The summer holiday offer, so May up to September, you have the pay and stay. So you offer, so you only pay for 7 nights, for 5 nights, and you get 7 nights. So that will give you the whole season. It's also very good because there are time that you can go out and go, but Joe will cover the period. It's still a very, very good time to go and explore. So people to say, oh, we don't, it's the low season. That's why we're not calling it the low season anymore. It's the explorer season. There's different things that you can see at this time of the year. And as we mentioned, Sally was there in August, and she had an amazing time. She's been promoting it quite a lot. So that was very good to know. And now for October half term, we have what we call our family month. So we are carry on with that. So basically, children under 12 years old stay for free. So when sharing accommodation with the adult, teenager 12 to 17, again, they pay the rate for the under 12, so which is a massive discount on that one. We have complimentary access to the Alphonse tribe. Normally there's a supplement for that. And again, we have a complimentary cruise actually on the Amani. And then we have the honeymoon offer, which is also very generous, is 30%. And when you actually think it's 30% on the actual board basis. So this is a very, very good offer, because normally the bra will get only on the actual room. So you're having it on also the meal plan. So that's a very, very good one. Just additional, but that's the same information for everybody, as you know, for the flight. So if they have more than the required amount of luggage, we're happy to keep that for you. If they're spending more than 7 nights, we give them free laundry. So, and basically that's it. As I say, I'm going to be very brief because I want Juho to actually explain to you more about the activity that you can do once you're actually on the island.
Nice one. Okay, if you stop sharing.
Yeah.
And then if you mute yourself.
Yeah.
And also turn off your speaker. I'm going to get any feedback.
Is there any question?
Oh, yeah, you can see that.
Or maybe we can, do a bit of a Q&A after Juho's gone through the activities.
I need to unmute myself.
Yes.
Oh, I can just push it up.
Yeah. Your job is done.
Cynthia has left the building.
Yeah, we see you.
Okay,
I
perfect.
think you may still be on mute.
Am I still on mute?
No, that's
Everyone can hear me? Okay, perfect.
Okay, ignore me.
Right. Hello, everyone. My name is Juho. I'm the dive and activities manager for Blue Safari Seychelles. And like Cynthia mentioned, I'll cover a little bit more about the activities and the experiences on our destinations. So starting with Alphonse Island. Alphonse Island is our main hub of operations in the outer islands. And on Alphonse, we have our main activity and dive center with our dedicated dive and activities team to take care of all of the activities that the guests would like to do. If it's scuba diving, snorkeling, kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, island visits, nature walks, whatever it might be, our team is there to take care of all of that. And in terms of the atoll group, Alphonse Group consists of 3 islands. So Alphonse, where we have the main hotel and the resort and all of the facilities. And then we have 2 other islands. We have Bijoutier and St. François Island. Bijoutier Island is very, very small in between Alphonse and St. François. And then St. François is a little bit bigger in the distance. And what's really cool about the group in general is Alphonse has obviously had a lot of human impact over the years because it has the hotel and the facilities. But then Bijoutier and St. François are completely uninhabited. There's never been any real human impact there over the years, which means that the wildlife and the nature is very, very pristine. And it's really cool to go and do these island visits and nature walks on these islands because the guests really see the contrast between an island that has had human impact over the years and then going and doing these nature activities with one of our guides and talking about the history and the nature of these different islands and explaining about the wildlife, which, like I said, is very, very pristine. So yeah, very, very special place. And here you can see the group in general. So just to give you guys a bit of an idea of the scope of the atoll group. So from the other end of Alphonse all the way to the other end of the atoll group, that is about 20 kilometers in distance. And what that means in terms of our activities is all the snorkeling and the diving and any other trips that we go on the boat. The distance is between 5 minutes. The closest areas are between around 5 minutes away. And then the furthest areas, if we go, for example, and do the St. François nature walk all the way to St. François Island, is about 30 to 40 minutes away by boat. So yeah, very convenient, very easy. And there are many different areas that we can explore depending on the conditions. But yeah, there's snorkeling inside the lagoon here. There's snorkeling outside of the lagoon. We've got plenty of different dive sites all around Alphonse Atoll, around Bijoutier Island here and towards St. François. As well. There's over 25 regular dive sites that we go to on a daily basis. So there's plenty to explore for the divers. And then obviously the snorkelers, we've got different areas, different habitats that I'll talk a little bit more about later. And one very, very special and unique thing about the atoll in general is that we have very, very steep drop-offs around these outer reefs here around the atoll. You only have to go 200-300 meters off the reef here on the outer reef, and you're in about 600-800 meters of water very, very quickly. So there's very, very steep drop-offs around the atoll, which means that we get a lot of pelagic animals that we might not see in quite a lot of other places very, very close to the reef, like the sailfish, for example, is a very pelagic animal, lives in the open ocean, but we are basically a small little dot in the middle of the Indian Ocean. So you get a lot of these animals very, very close to our atoll because of this reason. And yeah, this is just an aerial image of the group again. So you have Bijoutier Island in the middle here, and then Alphonse and St. François on both sides, and you can kind of get an idea of the scope of the place. And now, in terms of the different experiences, I'll cover the on-land experiences a little bit more first. We've got plenty of different stuff for the guests to do. We've got guided cycle tours around the island, around Alphonse, which is very popular activity at the beginning of the week to learn a little bit more about where you are and the history and the nature of the island. We've got island visits and nature walks. Like I mentioned, the St. François nature walk is a very popular and, in my opinion, the best on-land experience that you can do. Kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, a lot of independent activities that the guests can get involved with as well. They can be independent, but for all of these activities, we also do offer a guide from our team. If someone is a little bit more beginner and they want a little bit more assistance with some of the activities, we can always throw a guide in there and they can have a little bit more help if they want to. The giant tortoises, obviously, the Seychelles is the only other place in the world other than the Galapagos Islands where you have giant tortoises, and we have a free roaming population of about 140 tortoises on the island at the moment, which is very, very cool. The guests always love to see it, and you come out of your room and you run into a giant tortoise on the road, and yeah, it's quite the first time you see the big ones, it's quite impressive. And like I said, there's an image from the St. François nature walk that we do. And again, what I would really highlight for all of the guests that we get, you get these experiences where you go into the middle of these very pristine remote atoll groups, and you do the St. François nature walk, for example, where you go through the island, the different habitats, the beaches, the foresty areas, the mangroves, and the inner lagoons. And we've got quite small groups when we go to these islands, to kind of limit our ecological footprint as well, and protect these atolls as much as we can. So you really get an experience as a guest. When you go there, you go with one of our guides and they're explaining about the wildlife and the nature, and you're in the middle of all of that and you don't see anyone. There's no other humans there. That you're really in the middle of a pristine atoll, and you really, really feel like it as well when you go to these places, which in my opinion is the big luxury nowadays when you're traveling in general, is going to areas that have no other people there. You really feel like you look around, you walk around the atoll, you walk around Alphonse, there's nothing else there. The closest island is hundreds of kilometers away. So it really is one of those experiences where you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, plenty of other activities for the guest as well. And just in terms of the activities, how it works from the guest experience point of view is we have a specific activity schedule for the guest every week. That is a rough outline and a guide for the guests so they can see on certain days. Some of the activities are a little bit more tight and weather dependent than others. So some of them we can only do on certain days, but we try and be as flexible as possible. That's a big thing that we try and create with the activities and the guest experiences. The guests can really choose when they want to do certain activities, and we try and make it work. And they don't necessarily have to commit at the beginning of the week or before their stay to the whole weekly program. They can really choose on a daily basis what they want to do, and everything is confirmed at the bar the night before, so they know what they're doing the next day, and they can be a little bit more free with their schedule in terms of the activities. Flats lunch. Cynthia, I think, quickly covered Flats lunch, but yeah, very special moment every week. We go out into the middle of the St. François Lagoon and set up our picnic barbecue lunch set up there during low tide. There's a couple of areas where these sandbars open up like this, and we go there and set up lunch. And yeah, it's a very, very special moment every week for the guests.
Even if we are on full board now, this is included in your rate. You even have free alcoholic drinks, so it's quite a very good selling point, and that will cost a lot more if you're doing that anywhere else. That will always be a supplement, so it's a very, very good value.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of the in-water experiences, obviously a big reason why a lot of people come to the outer islands of the Seychelles, they want to see the marine life. And we've got plenty of different snorkeling options, different types of trips to see a different type of marine life and different habitats that we can take the guests to. We've got that sheltered inner lagoon that we can go to with more beginner snorkelers or families with smaller children or anyone that's wanting to have a nice, easy snorkel in a shallow, calm area.
Is that you on the picture?
It's not. You know, I'm in some of them. I might be in some of them. Yeah.
That's people, that's him.
Yeah, I'm definitely in some of the marketing materials.
Yeah.
But yeah, the snorkeling is phenomenal. The inner lagoon is very sheltered, very calm, very easy. You've got a nice shallow reef where you can go, and there's plenty of different areas to explore. And there's also the outer reef. There's miles and miles of reef that you can explore if you want to go a little bit deeper. Obviously, the layout and the topography of the outer reef is there's a shallower reef plateau that extends deeper and deeper and deeper, depending on where you are on the reef, to about 10-15 meters, and there's that big drop. So even doing a snorkel on the outer reef, you can kind of experience both. You can be in the shallower areas, and then you can also kind of venture out a little bit deeper and swim over the drop off and potentially see some bigger animals there. And then we have a couple of our specific activities that we do with some of the marine life that we get around the atoll. We've got the manta ray snorkel and the sailfish snorkel, which I'll cover in a little bit. We also have our blue safari activity, which is basically a big ocean safari where we go out and cruise around, look for any interesting marine life. We mainly look for the resident pod of spinner dolphins that we have around the atoll. But it's really a big cruise around and kind of learning about the atoll system and the environment and the marine life. And what's really special and cool, in my opinion, about these remote atolls is that there's a chance to run into a big variety of different, animals. We quite often see pilot whales, melon-headed whales. I've got the humpback whales at certain times of the year. There's a chance to actually see some cool stuff that in a lot of other places there is pretty much 100% chance that you won't see them because they're either not there or they've been fished out, or because of the disturbance and the destruction to certain habitats, there's too much human impact. So what's really special, in my opinion, about these remote atolls is the chance to encounter some of that. Now, the manta rays are big popular activity with guests. Everyone loves manta rays and swimming with mantas. We do a specific activity where we go out and look for these manta rays when they're feeding on the surface. There is a specific cleaning station for scuba divers as well that we can go to and see these manta rays, but it's a little bit deeper, so it's not suitable for snorkelers. But we do the snorkeling activity every week where we go out and look for these manta rays.
Oh, wow.
Which is very, very popular with guests, as you can imagine. And what's really cool about the manta ray trip is that not just the manta ray activity, but all of our activities is we combine it with a conservation aspect. So we have a project, the manta ray project going on, and we try and take photos of these manta rays to ID them. If you guys know a little bit about manta rays, they have these distinct spots and patterns on their bellies. So we try and get underneath them and try and get those ID shots, and then we can add them to the database. And guests can contribute to these projects. We go out on these trips and they can take those photos as well. And then if they want to, they can contribute to the project by donating. And then there's also an adoption program. If we do find a brand new manta ray that hasn't been identified before, they can adopt the manta ray and contribute in that way. And yeah, this is quite a cool video showing. We quite often find them in these channels connecting the different atoll systems, and they just sit there in the current with the dropping or the incoming tide and let the plankton just flow through their gills. So yeah, quite a cool sight to see.
This was just a month ago.
Yeah.
I think just before Christmas, yeah.
And it was actually, we were coming back from Flats Lunch and all of the guests got to see it. We were coming through this channel because it's one of the channels that we use to kind of navigate through the atolls. And yeah, we slowly kind of cruised past. There was about 25 manta rays in total that were sitting in the channel.
Just videos. Can we have this video?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian. Well, yeah, yes. Yeah, we can get you access to it. Yeah.
The sailfish snorkel is another one of our signature experiences. There's not a lot of places in the world in general where you can actually go out and see these animals. And in my opinion, what the biggest kind of benefit on Alphonse doing is that because of these steep drop-offs around the outer reef is you don't have to go far. It's literally 5-10 minutes away by boat, and you're in the right habitat and deep enough for actually find these animals. So it's very quick and easy for us to go to the areas. It really just depends on the conditions and the sightings, but the sailfish are there all year round as well. So it really just, obviously they are wild animals. So same thing with them. It just depends on the day, but when it works out, it's one of the most incredible experiences. And it's one of those activities that when the guests go out, it's the one thing that they mention at the end of the week that they really, really remember. And yeah, swimming with these guys is...
You have to kind of be careful.
It's a very common question. We always get it, but you don't have to worry about them. We've never had any incidents. And when you're actually in the water, you understand that their spatial awareness is phenomenal.
Because I had one and they were like, we had like eye contact and I was swimming like this, and then he came very near, and then he just went.
They're so incredibly agile. Mind, I know there's a clip somewhere online from, I think it was BBC, one of the Attenborough narrated documentaries with the sailfish actively hunting. And when you watch something like that, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think,
when you see them like in action. Yeah.
I think also the big selling point why we can do things like that is the expertise of the team on the island. As is always, I'm very afraid of deep sea, and for me to go into that water, it has to be like they will explain you every single stage of it. So you kind of like they know what they're doing, and they know how to make you at ease. And I think that is quite unique, because a lot of places you wouldn't have experience like that. This is very unique. You hear about snorkeling with manta, but not with sailfish.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
I was also going to ask you about
So like I
that.
mentioned, we have humpback whales migrating through these atolls as well, normally around July, August, September time, sometimes a little bit earlier, sometimes a little bit later, but we have them coming through the atoll as well during the explorer season, which is really, really cool. And in terms of scuba diving, the diving in the outer islands is phenomenal. The reefs are in very, very good health. We're just talking about the Maldives, and a lot of reefs nowadays being affected by bleaching and other events and human impact again. But again, because we are so remote, first of all, there's literally no commercial fishing pressure around these atolls, so the fish life and the marine life is phenomenal. And also because of these steep drop-offs around these atolls, we get very regular colder upwellings, which means that the reason why reefs bleach is because they get too warm. So the water temperature, when it's too warm for too long, the reefs start bleaching. And because of these colder upwellings, our reefs around Alphonse and some of our other destinations have been spared quite well, which is really, really encouraging to see. But yeah, the scuba diving experience is phenomenal. This is very typical scenery around Alphonse. You get these steep drop-offs and these reefs covered in these beautiful sea fans. And yeah, fish life is another big highlight for me. People always ask what's special about diving on Alphonse compared to a lot of other places around the world. And I would say it's the overall experience that you have in the water with these very, very healthy reefs, big schools of fish, and then getting these interactions with some of these animals like the big potato groupers, because we don't have that many divers in the water in general. So the marine life is very unaccustomed to divers in the water, which means that they're very curious towards divers as well. And in my opinion, that's the coolest thing to experience on a dive, is having these close interactions with these different animals. Yeah, it's very, very impressive. And in terms of the different dive sites, we've got very suitable dive sites for both beginners and more advanced divers. Like I said, we've got those shallow reef plateaus that we can do shallower dives on, and then you can kind of hug the edge of those drop-offs or go a little bit deeper down those walls, and different areas that we can explore. So perfect for both beginners and more advanced divers. And same with the diving experience for the guests. We keep the groups very, very small. So we try and create a very personal experience with the guests and kind of tailor-made itineraries and schedules for the guests. So if they want to dive in the morning, they can. If they want to dive in the afternoon, they can. We can do night dives as well. And really try and make it work with, because there's so many things to do on Alphonse, for example, is, sometimes people want to do everything in 1 week. We try and make sure that everything works out with the best timings in terms of the weather and the conditions and everything else. So yeah, we try to be as flexible as possible. There's no strict schedule, again, that the guests necessarily have to follow. And in terms of marine life, again, a little bit more about the wildlife underwater. We have very healthy populations of different shark species. Again, for a lot of divers, this is very, it's a very key part of diving experience is seeing sharks. And what's, again, very encouraging around our atolls is that we get very healthy populations of different shark species on a daily basis. Eagle rays, like I said, the manta rays on dives as well. There's thousands and thousands of turtles. Those reef flats around these atolls are completely covered in seagrass, so you get thousands of green turtles and also hawksbill turtles on dives. And again, these big predatory fish, bigger groupers, barracuda, yeah, very, very healthy population. And again, coming back to the diving experiences, as a more experienced diver, you quite instantly can tell if a reef is in the right balance. And I think that's a big part of the experience on Alphonse as well, is seeing the reef in the right balance and the ecosystem actually being healthy. There's a lot of places around the world where you can go and the reef can be much more biodiverse in terms of the coral and the soft corals and everything else, but all of the fish species, the larger predatory fish, have been fished out. So the ecosystem is not in the right balance. So that, again, in my opinion, is a big part of diving on Alphonse, is really experiencing that. We also have a PADI 5-star center on the island. All of our dive team, they are instructors, so we can offer the full PADI range with all of the different courses. If it's a beginner course or an advanced course or specialty course, whatever it is that people want to do. And same thing here, it's pretty much one-on-one teaching, guaranteed with the instructor. We don't get that many courses in general, so if you want to learn how to dive or do any courses, you're pretty much guaranteed an instructor for you for the whole time.
And you have it for kids also.
Kids as well, yeah. We do the full range. In terms of the facilities, the dive center, our vessels, the equipment, all of that, we've got a fully equipped dive center with anything and everything that guests might need in terms of snorkeling and diving. All of that equipment for snorkelers and divers is completely complimentary and free for the week. They can hold on to their snorkeling equipment, do their independent snorkels or whatever they want. And for the divers as well, we've got everything that you might need. And a big part, again, what I would highlight is that we try and cater to every single diver, meaning that we've got both male and female sizes for wetsuits, for example. We have both shorty and full length wetsuits. So different temperatures of water, people get a little bit more chilly. Different size cylinders as well. So again, they're very much trying to cater to every single kind of diver and make their life as easy as possible in the water. Nitrox as well, if there's any divers around, Nitrox is fully complimentary for all divers. And in terms of our vessels, we've got a big fleet of different types of vessels that we use for the different activities. We've got a custom built dive boat that is very spacious, very comfortable to dive from. Has a freshwater shower and a toilet on board, so you can do full day trips as well. If people want to go out for the full day and do a dive, no problem. We can cater to that. So yeah, different boats for different activities and very easy and comfortable. Free diving is another option, and what we offer, we've got a couple of free diving instructors within the team. So if people are keen to learn that, it's very cool to learn on those steep drop-offs around the atoll. Surfing is another thing that we've added to the activities offering this year, and it's actually been very popular since we started it. We've got a dedicated team on the island. The instructors are very good at what they do, and again, perfect for both beginners and advanced people because of that structure of the atoll. We can stick to the inner lagoon for more easy beginner waves, and then go to the outer reef if people are a little bit more advanced. And then conservation is really at the heart of everything that we do, not just in terms of the hotel and the resorts and how we operate there, but also in terms of all of the activities. We try and combine a conservation aspect into everything that we're doing with the guests. And there are also specific activities that the guests can do with the conservation team on the island. They can do turtle patrols, track the turtle movements around the islands. They can get involved with the giant tortoise monitoring program. They can do native tree restoration, beach cleans, whatever it might be, if they want to learn a little bit more about the work that we do on the island. And we do evening presentations in the resort as well, to cover a little bit more about the work that we're doing and the different projects that we're doing with the wildlife and the environment there. And there are some specific projects that we're doing with some of the animals, like the manta rays and the sharks, for example. We're working with some conservation organizations around the world, like Save Our Seas Foundation and the Manta Trust. And like I said, the guests can get involved with all of this work. And they actually, what's really cool in my opinion is that the guests have fully funded all of these projects that we're doing. So when the guests come to the island, they can learn about these projects, they can get involved, and then they can donate and contribute into these different projects that we're doing. And yeah, I think it's a real testament to the kind of work that we're doing, is that all of these projects are 100% fully funded by the guests that actually come to these islands. And then quickly, just covering Astov and Cosmolito atolls as well. Astov and Cosmolito, the camps that we have there are obviously much smaller. The camp on Astov, for example, we have this coral house. It's only 6 rooms, so max 12 guests at any given time. And I would say Astov is really perfect for people that are wanting to go even more remote to areas that have even less divers on a yearly basis, and really explore and experience the best diving in the outer islands. The atoll, the real highlight diving and snorkeling on Astov is the Astov Wall, which is the western aspect of the atoll here. It's about almost 6 kilometers of reef, and it's a straight down drop into the abyss.
I think I was told a recent stat by Ryan, maybe to be 100% verified, but fewer people have been on Astov than the summit of Everest. So there you go. You
That's
can
great.
wear that badge.
Also, didn't I read that one of the owners died of a toothache?
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
Astov Coral
There had
House.
to be,
Yeah.
it was so remote that they got a boat to go to was it Madagascar maybe? Or,
I think it was, yeah.
And
And then
they died
they died, yeah.
And I think the family
Not
took
that
it off.
happens
And
again.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago. It's a long time ago. That's like
Yeah.
the 19th century or the
Yeah, I think the family, it was it in the 50s or something that they finally left the Coral House
Yes.
for good?
Yes.
Somewhere around there,
Yeah.
But
anyway.
it shows how remote it is.
Yeah.
And Jacques Cousteau did
Yeah,
Famous
and now
guys,
you've
yeah.
been there, so yeah.
yeah. What we did was had like a brief lunch and then
Yeah.
carry on there.
Yeah, well, you don't need to climb Everest
Yeah, yeah.
now because you've been somewhere.
Yeah, no, it's like, again, like you can't really get the scope of the place, but the coral house is in the middle here. Like you can't even see it on the satellite image, but it's
Friend divers, if they take 6 rooms, they have a private atoll to themselves without paying the premium of a privatized island. So for those high-end clients, that's quite a very good selling point, especially that love the diving and stuff like that. So
Yeah, particularly for your agents that are looking for a really unique experience where it's kind of like been there, done that. I mean, even around Alphonse, if you think around the fact we don't have that many divers on a dive boat, and one of the biggest irritations when you're a diver and you travel the world and like to dive different sites is suddenly you've got another vessel drop in on where you're diving and people don't have control over their buoyancy properly, or they're not necessarily that ethical in terms of their approach to diving. I mean, I've had a dive where I literally pointed out some nurse sharks and I had about 15 Chileans jump on me and push me into the cave with them because they just couldn't control their buoyancy. And I was like, I should never have pointed those sharks out. So the fact that even around Alphonse, you don't have that pressure. I mean, our closest neighbor is Roche, which is half an hour away by flight. So we don't have to rope off a private beach. We're private by default just because we don't have any neighbors around us. And now down in Asto, you take that really to the extreme because it's right on the frontier of the Seychelles as a nation, essentially. So you're really getting that extreme idea of being in an ocean-based wilderness where there's no one but you and the reef in front of you, which is quite remarkable.
There are facilities and restaurants on Asto Atoll.
Yeah.
we have the coral house, so we have the rooms.
Very beautiful coral house.
And then you have the restaurant there. We have a chef, so you have everything you need.
So guests would stay on the
You
atoll. They
can
would
stay
not
on
go
the
to the
atoll.
main island.
No, so it's about an hour and a half flight
Oh,
beyond
wow.
Alphonse. So if you think about the fact that already Alphonse is an hour from Mahé, and now it's another 1 hour and a half from Alphonse down to Astove, the plane actually has to stop and refuel at Alphonse on
And
the
then
way.
go. So there's 1 hour to Alphonse and then another 1.5 hours. So it's 2.5 hours.
Oh,
to
wow,
go.
it's very long.
Yeah, though for
Okay.
some of the bookings you guys work with, so for example, this more recent one from Polaris, the time of year they're looking at taking this motor yacht charter isn't quite right in terms of prime conditions for Astove and Cosmo. But if you had a similar booking like that in future where they might say, look, the accommodation on Astove is a little bit too basic for us, we can do a couple of things to cater to clients looking for a bit more comfort. So one could be having them on Cosmolito and then taking them across by boat to dive Astove during the day. Maybe they're clients who prioritize experience over the comfort and they don't mind being at Astove in order to really maximize their time for access to the wall. Or we can even do something like repositioning Quo Vadis down. I think, Juho, you said there's no really good anchoring point on Astove, but having the catamaran more around Cosmolito and then still using that as a way of accessing Astove too. So there's a few different ways we can kind of compensate for how basic Astove is depending on what the clients themselves need. So something like that Polaris booking, had they been traveling more around February, March, where we could confidently say, okay, the ocean is calm enough to justify traveling that extra distance down, then we could be using that, say, as a basis to really explore around this super remote area with the support of our team, but the luxury offered by this ridiculous vessel that they're chartering for the honeymoon. So yeah, a few things you can bear in mind if you're doing some really creative stuff.
Yeah,
for
I think
clients.
the time I went, there was a group who'd been on Alphonse and they were going onto our steps, so they could combine the two.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that's definitely a possibility. We just had, I mean, even if you're not a diver, you can combine the different destinations. And as a diver, if you really want to kind of experience the best diving in the outer islands, you can combine Alphonse and Astove or Alphonse and Cosmolito, or even all three if you want to. We can make it work.
How far Cosmolito and Astove?
So from Astove, it's another, I would say, 45 to 60 minutes by boat to get to Cosmolito.
Yeah, it depends on the conditions, but also we've recently been able to make use of a smaller aircraft to shuttle between Astove and Cosmo. I don't know how your experience was, Thomas, when you were out there.
But I know that the runway is going to be prepped. That's now functioning now.
Yeah. If we have to use we can. Yeah.
As of about a month ago. So it's a very new development. But one of the other things too that we've discussed is potentially also being able to base guests on Cosmo and do a very low altitude flight over to Astove so they can dive the wall without worrying about the decompression limit. Yeah.
It's
just obviously how much money and how long is a piece of string, but
I would say Astove for someone who is a really, really keen diver, like we've been talking about, the accommodation is not as luxurious as Alphonse, for example. But in my opinion, again, as a diver, you don't really mind. If you're diving all day, every day, and then you just go back into the accommodation, the coral house, you have dinner and then you go to bed and then you repeat the next day. I like that's Astove is absolutely perfect for that, because again, the groups are very, very small. Even if it's just a single or a couple that wants to go there and dive for the week, that's not a problem. So
was it Juho? I think because of the length of the wall, you can do 3 dives a day, every day for a week, and not go to the same dive site twice.
Yeah,
basically.
That wall is I would be happy to dive the wall every day, all day, no problem. And just in terms of the diving experience on Astove and Cosmolito, it's even more like magnified and highlighted in terms of the interactions that you have with the animals there. Again, just because there is no one going there and diving, these animals are so unaccustomed to divers in the waters that you have these incredible interactions. And as a diver, again, as soon as you get into the water, you experience it and you feel like you're diving in an area that has had no other divers for a very, very long time. And yeah, that just kind of shows the Astove wall. It's very difficult to describe, but it's incredible. For divers, Astov is phenomenal. And then Cosmolito, even more remote, so really the most remote destination that we have. And on Cosmolito, we have this small little eco camp. We only have 8 of these little eco pods that me and Tom had the luxury of going to and spending a couple of days on. And again, the whole idea on Cosmolito is we try and be as eco-friendly and sustainable as possible. So the idea with the eco lodge and the camp is that once if eventually we want to leave Cosmolito, we can just pack up, we can take these container units that we've transformed into the accommodation, and then we can just leave, and there's no sign of us ever being there. So that's the whole point of the eco lodge, is really being in the middle of nature in these little eco pods, surrounded by this incredible wildlife. And Cosmolito is really for someone who is a true nature lover and wants to go to the end of the world, into these areas that have had very, very few humans going into in general.
Blue Planet, that's the place you go.
Yeah.
And while you walk, you can hear David and Brad talking all the way.
Yeah.
This is the place. I mean, if you watch this program,
I was pretending to be David Everett.
Yeah.
Can you give us your best impression?
No way.
And again, just to give a bit of an idea on the scope of the place and the size, the atoll is massive. It's about 17 kilometers wide and about 14 kilometers in height. And the eco lodge that you see here is just on the tip of this island here. So you understand a little bit about the size of the atoll, and we can do a whole bunch of different activities. We can do snorkeling and diving, both inside and outside the lagoon. We can do island hopping, birding, nature walks, kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding. And I think, Tom can testify to one of the best trips to do on Cosmolito is taking a kayak and going and just kind of doing a little birding trip on the side of one of the islands, and just experiencing that is pretty incredible.
Quite hard following you in a kayak.
Yeah.
I'll be through the water.
Yeah.
I think we figured out we have more uninhabited islands in the Cosmolito group than we do guests at the dinner table.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's really, if you have anyone like interested in like a Galapagos Island experience, or talking about the Galapagos Islands, like Cosmolito is as close as you can get to that experience without going to the Galapagos Islands. So you have thousands and thousands of red-footed boobies and different booby species that you might not see in other places, like brown boobies and moss boobies. You get nesting frigate birds, and then a whole bunch of other interesting seabirds, like the sooty terns that hover above the camp at night when you hear the squawking.
There's a massive wave.
It's really one of those places where you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, in amongst nature that is pristine, and it's absolutely phenomenal.
And I think like the little resident abbot sunbirds that pop around in front of the main area, and I think they have a distribution into northern Madagascar, but other than that, I think it's only Cosmolito that you find them.
Yeah, there's a few endemic species there that you don't see in other places, again, which is, and the cool thing about it is, again, when you go there and you have these knowledgeable guides kind of taking you out on all of these different activities and explain why these places are so special.
You kind of approach like one of the little islands nearby, and you see like low-lying trees and bushes, and just like there's some kind of strange fruit hanging on every single branch. And you get closer, you realize they're just birds. Just covered from every single, wherever there's like a 3-branch spot, there's a bird just sat there.
Yeah,
hundreds of birds. It's unbelievable.
And again, what's really cool is that they're so unaccustomed to humans that you can literally park your kayak right next to them, and they won't do anything. They'll just look at you. Yeah, and you can get it's phenomenal.
And I remember, like in the Maldives, you see a turtle, you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then, which is nice. You do see turtles in the Maldives, but then at Cosmolito, you're like, there's another 20 turtles.
I thought you were going to hit one with a skiff, because they're everywhere, and most of them are on a date. So you're like, well, they're not going to move that fast. Like you don't want to ruin a romantic moment between the green turtles, but they're everywhere in the lagoon.
Did you stay on Cosmolito as well, Tommy? You stayed in
No, but Alphonse and then Cosmolito and all atolls.
Yeah, I stayed on Cosmolito. It was amazing.
And yeah, scuba diving is also a possibility on Cosmolito. On Astov and Cosmolito, both the dive operations obviously much more small scale, but again, then you really get the personal experience. Like I said, it might be just 1 or 2 divers, a small group of divers, and we can cater to that. That's not a problem at all. And on Cosmolito, the atoll, the outer reef is so massive that there's still areas that we haven't really explored. So again, really for divers that, have been to a lot of different places and they want to go somewhere that, humans haven't really been before, and really kind of go and explore a little bit more.
Tiger sharks as well, right?
Tiger sharks, yeah, many tiger sharks on Cosmolito because of the amount of green turtles and hawksbill turtles that we get there. They specialize in hunting those. So
Yes.
yeah, I think we actually did. I think we might have.
Saw a tiger shark.
I think
Did
we
you
might have
see-
seen a
I
tiger
remember,
shark.
I remember sitting in the lagoon with a Sabrew, and then was it Mark saying, "Oh, there's a lot of tiger sharks." I was like, "Oh."
But the good thing about that is you're in an environment where they've got plenty of food, so you're more of a nuisance to go after than a turtle. Yeah. Did you see the video Keith filmed in, I think it was last March, of the tiger shark with the turtle in its jaws?
No, not seen that.
Yeah, and that was in
right.
the I think it was in the mangroves.
Yeah.
He got that
Yeah.
video because
Yeah.
of the visibility. You could literally
Mm.
see next to the boat this tiger shark swimming past and this turtle trying to swim away, but it was in the jaws of this tiger shark.
Mm.
Yeah.
And just lastly, before I move on to QV, I think a big thing to highlight to potential guests as well is kind of the guest experience that we try and create on Alphonse. Obviously, a very high-end, 5-star resort, but we try and stay away from the very kind of formal, strict kind of atmosphere that a lot of other high-end places might have. The staff actively kind of get involved with the guest experience in a way that it's by the end of their stay, they actually feel like they know us and we know them. So when they come back, and we actually have a big repeater rate just because of that experience that the guests have with the staff team and the activities, is when they come back, we know them, we know what they like, what activities they like, what kind of diving they like, and so on and so on. So I think that is a big part of what we're trying to create is that kind of barefoot luxury and very informal atmosphere with the guests, where they feel like, they can just relax, and it's not that kind of butler service where the staff are behind the scenes and
It's not stuffiness. It's very, very kind. And more now, people that have that luxury, they want to have that. It's effortless.
Yeah.
When it's effortless, when it's not constantly hoovering around, it feel a bit fake kind of thing. This is very genuine, and you just get on with people and have a good time. Yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah.
It's quite nice, and the barman will know your name. So all the guests in Alphonse in the evening, you will not be called by a room number or something like that. So after the days, they know what you like, and it's quite nice. Yeah.
One of the agents I hosted out there actually articulated it really well, because after a week he was like, I've been struggling to actually figure out how to describe the atmosphere on Alphonse to a client. And he goes, it's the difference between being hosted versus being served. And he said, on Alphonse, you're hosted. It's all personalized hosting. Whereas I guess you have these other resorts that are more fly and flop, where you have an invisible pane of glass between the staff and the guests. And there's almost like this professional distance being kept. Whereas on Alphonse, it is much more about personal hosting. The team try to respond to what the guests' interests are during the stay. They pick up on cues. So if they notice that guests are making friends with each other, the food and beverage team might say, oh, I noticed that, you were hanging out a lot with these guests. Would you like to dine on your own this evening? Or would you actually prefer to join each other over a meal? And it's responding to what they're noticing that the guests are really resonating with during their time, and planning to kind of tailor the experience more to what they're enjoying while they're out with us.
And I will also say, regarding the Seychelles in general, looking at the service level you will have on Alphonse Island and all over, it's very, very kind of really high end compared to other places. As I say, they have this scheme, knowing, you go, I have my black coffee first day, second day, I go there, it's already there as soon as I arrive. So a little thing like that is kind of really, especially in the Seychelles, sometimes they mention that the service level is not the same as the other one, but there's nothing to worry about in Alphonse.
Yes, but it's by far the best that I've had in Seychelles. Like even you know, you've got the Four Seasons or the Six Senses and North Island, and they're really expensive.
Yeah.
5 stars. The service levels are better at Alphonse, so it's not as expensive.
It's
You
very
notice-
personalized. It's extremely personalized that you will not get in these resorts. So this is a very, very big selling point.
Yeah. And then, lastly, we do also have a custom built catamaran, a 75-foot catamaran that we can do custom trips around all of these outer islands or the inner islands. So it's really for if you have any clients that are looking to kind of explore the Seychelles or both the inner or the outer islands and have a custom built itinerary for them, if it's fishing or diving or snorkeling or island hopping and just kind of exploring around these atolls. We can do that with Quo Vadis. And it can, like I said, it can really be whatever it is that you want to do. The boat itself, the vessel is beautiful. It's very modern, very comfortable. There's 4 cabins, either twin or double. And we can design an itinerary for anyone who wanting to really island hop.
Perfect. I mean, imagine how that is a unique experience. You can do the best.
Well, the other thing too is we've got 4 cabins on Quo Vadis and 4 bedrooms in the beach retreats. So to do something like flying from Mahé into Daroche, because we have a team on Daroche who can assist with transfer from the aircraft to Quo Vadis, to do a cruising itinerary then through the Amarantis Bank, finishing on Alphonse, and then spending like a week in the beach retreat. That would be like the ultimate high-end family or friends itinerary in my mind. I mean, obviously, like the fantasy is taking the catamaran down to the Aldabra group, but then you have several days that you need to account for in order to actually physically get down there. Yeah.
I was going to ask you,
yeah.
for people who really want to go see the Aldabra, what's the best way of getting down there?
You mean the Aldabra group or Aldabra Island itself?
Aldabra Island specific, I suppose, but yeah, Aldabra Island.
Yeah. Well, Juho, do you know more about the permissions when it comes to Aldabra?
Well, you just need to apply for the permits to go there, but we can do it with Quo Vadis. That from our side, that would really be the only option. There's no accommodation options on Aldabra, so the only way to go there is with a yacht or a private vessel. They do organize certain trips as well, but they limit the amount of people that actually can go onto the islands, and it's very much controlled by SIF, which is the organization that handles or manages the island. So
how long sailing from Alphonse would it take?
From Alphonse, it would be a couple of days to get to Astov and Cosmolido, and from Astov and Cosmolido, I would say another day and a half to Aldabra.
You'd probably, but if you wanted to do a focus trip around those islands, my belief, and Juho, correct me if I contradict what you believe, would be that we would reposition Quo Vadis down around Cosmolido ahead of the guests' arrival. They would fly into Astov, transfer across to Cosmo, do a bit of an itinerary exploring Cosmo, Astov, and then because QV is already out there, use that as a way of then going over to Aldabra from Cosmo as a base rather than Alphonse as a base. Purely because of time constraints. If you had like more than 2 weeks, then you could look at the larger experience. But I think if you really wanted to do like a remarkable 2 weeks, I'd spend a week or 10 days or whatever. You'd spend that time exploring Cosmo and Astov and then add Aldabra to that.
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, I think for like maybe virtuous American, like go further kind of plans, that would be quite interesting. And Aldabra was featured in Blue Planet, I think.
It's very much in every IFB places now. The most protected area.
What the highest number of giant tortoises?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
The
there's
highest number.
like 100,000. There's herds of them.
Yeah. So the population of tortoises in Seychelles is more or less the same as the human population.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The thing with Aldabra though is that it's very much controlled by SIF, which is, like I said, which is the organization that manages the island and the conservation there. So it's the trips that you can do on Aldabra are phenomenal, but they are very much controlled and limited with the permits that that they have.
And could that be done via you or the client?
No, so that's the thing that would have to be organized through SIF. So we can take our vessel to Aldabra, but then all of the activities we can do the actual activities that would be handled by the conservation organization that works there and their guides. So yeah.
My understanding though is we could coordinate it on your behalf. We just need to liaise.
Yeah, we
with them to
can
put it together.
we can organize all of the logistics.
So for example, if you had like the ultimate diving trip you wanted to put together, given that Quo Vadis is a fully equipped dive vessel, you could go down, explore around Cosmolito, Astove, and then take Quo Vadis out there, because my understanding is the complication is more about going ashore at Aldabra than it is exploring the marine environment around the atoll. And I believe, please correct me if I say things that are totally not correct, but that has to do with wanting to keep things totally contained and quarantined with Aldabra as an island, due to how remarkable the environment is on the shoreline itself. So if you wanted to do a dive trip, which would be more focused on going around that atoll and then complementing that with Astove and Cosmo, I don't believe the process for permissions is as complicated as going ashore. Though you do still need permissions to be able to visit.
You can kind of look through binoculars.
Having said that, I mean, Aldabra has gotten its name as a result of the scientists who've gone out there, the awareness they've created in terms of just how remarkable that environment is. But a lot of those benefits are available to people visiting Astove and Cosmolito. It's just that the name isn't as well known, but it's still within that same island group. I mean, you would have seen the amount of turtles out there just sitting in the shallows in front of our main area. I was drinking a gin and tonic with another guest at sunset,